Our distinguished panelists, many of you have traveled from far and near. Clerics, I acknowledge the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Bishop Kure, and the chief imam of Benin City, Alhaji Sheikh Inabulele. His Royal Majesty, the Omonobade du Kwakolopolo, Obaiwari II, the Oba of Benin, who is ably represented, Oba Atokwe, most distinguished invited guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I had to establish protocol. That is the protocol. I'm so glad that all of you have now accepted Alawudaro as an annual ritual. And that on the 12th of November every year, we all gather here like this, not just to reflect on what has happened in the last year, but also to project the future and see if we are in line with our promises and our hopes. As the chairman of the summit said in his opening statement, and also reiterated by the guest speaker, this year we are building on the theme for last year, which we set after our victory at the polls. For us, the victory of September 19th last year clearly was a turning point from which we have redefined our future as a people. We were dreaming, but last year our dream came true. And we haven't stopped dreaming. We don't daydream, and may God not allow us have a nightmare. So this afternoon, over the next 20 minutes or so, I'll try and explain as best as I can the future we see and how we believe we can sustain that future. We're all witnesses to what has happened in this country and in the world in the last several months. COVID-19 clearly has redefined how humanity will live and will exist. It has reprioritized our values and giving us new priorities. As if that was not significant enough, what has happened in the global energy market, the way the world now sees energy, sees our main product, crude oil, has changed. The world is now talking about renewable energy. This and the unfortunate steps we have taken in managing our national economy has created real challenges, which has led to our economic downturn. And, you've heard my views about this. The way we continue to manage our foreign exchange, it's like we're back where we were 30 years ago. You heard the keynote speaker talk about his experience. But what is interesting is that what's going on today is not new. Listening to Mr. Sarumi, I said, oh, that's true. 30 years ago, we had similar challenges. But unfortunately, what we have today is life-defining. There are some fundamentals that have shifted. The ground on which we stand has shifted. So we cannot continue to think about making the sort of mistakes we made 30 years ago, because it's really costly and expensive. But We know that Nigeria and Edo State still have a bright future despite all these challenges. And as the keynote speaker mentioned, and also attested to by this engineer and futurist, Buckminster Fuller, he said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. What is. The situation we are in today is what it is. We have to just accept it. If we need to change it, then we must build a new model so that the old model can become obsolete." And that's the way we see our future in Edo. We believe that Edo will be great again. It will be great because the people of Edo will make Edo great. How will they make it great? First, by the way we organize how government works. Our government now needs to be organized to work for our people. Not for a few, but for everybody. We'll become great again when we focus on developing the human capacity of our people. That is what we have been. That is what we've done through the centuries. And that is what we will do in our current situation. We will become great again when we take advantage of our natural endowments to drive commerce and economic activities. And we have myriads of opportunities and advantages, from our location to our land to the diversity of our ecology to the most important people. Once, as government, we combine all of this together and focus on them, Edo will become great again. We are just not dreaming. We have been at this for 5 years. This is our 5th anniversary. So it's just not a daydream. It's real because we have some experiences. Because over the last 5 years, we have focused on setting. First, how do we govern our people properly? And you all know the challenges we have faced. And our insistence on doing things differently and properly led to the kind of revolution which we saw in our politics in Nigeria starting last year. And thank God, we call it a revolution, it's real. We have seen it reflect in Anambra and, by the grace of God, in all subsequent elections. So we've focused on reforming the civil and public service. First, by just improving the environment in which they work. Some of those pictures are real. Yes, they may have been taken at night, but you can drive through. The offices we're building for our civil servants and our public servants today will compare with anything you find anywhere in the world. Because if you do not create the right environment, they cannot and will not be as productive as they could be. So we've improved the environment. We've begun to go back to what we're known for, merit. Merit-based hiring. You do not have to be the child of a senator or His Royal Highness or whatever to be able to have access or jobs in the civil service. And for the civil and public service today, you have to earn your pay. Yes, it may not be much. Yes, we're going to work hard to improve on it, but you have to deliver, you have to produce. So they all have KPIs, they have key performance indicators, and they have scorecards. Quarterly, we review what they do, and we try and help them improve service delivery. Today, we have an e-procurement platform. We can tell you how much we pay for every service that government procures. And it's there online, it's available. There's nothing to hide, because we now must run government transparently, accountably, and account for every kobo of taxpayers' money we spend. The story on education has been told severally, so I'm not going to, emphasize it again. The documentary showed it clearly. But what we have now seen is that in 3 years, we could transform the way our children learn. We've been able to create an educational system, particularly at the basic level, that gives these children the confidence and prepares them to live in the world of the future. So the children who are in our basic school today, I have no doubts in my mind that the 275,000 of them which we have on our database and we are tracking today, we will be able to follow them through life and support them in their future careers. I am so confident that with what we have laid down today, we're tracking the best, the top performing pupils in our schools. And in 5-10 years' time, when they're going into secondary or tertiary schools, we tell that these 10,000 of them or 20,000 of them will make great surgeons, will make great engineers, and we can now begin to plan on that basis. With what we have learned reforming and transforming our basic education system, we now know it is possible to use the same tools to change the way we teach and train our kids in junior secondary school, senior secondary schools, in all our technical colleges and tertiary institutions. That is what we've termed EduBest 2.0, which we have commenced. In the area of healthcare, we're just not starting. We have done quite a lot of work. Our focus has always been on basic care, just like we did with basic education. It's basic care. Let's go and fix those areas, the institution where our people have the first interaction with our healthcare system. So primary healthcare reform is our priority, and at a minimum, by the time we're leaving in 2024, we should have at least one standard primary healthcare center in every ward in Edo State, with well-trained staff who we have now transferred to the primary healthcare agency, with the technology that tracks when people come in and also tracks the quality of services we render to her. We see Edo as a health hub in the near future. And when I mean near future, in the next 5 years, because we have everything that it takes to become a hub for healthcare. We've revamped the Edo Specialist Hospital, and we've ignored the manipulations from our opponents who try to make an issue of bringing down a 90-year hospital and moving a 90-year hospital into a 5-year-old hospital. So we're transforming the specialist hospital and then also building a new Stella Obasanjo Hospital. In the area of power, as you know, Benin City and Edo State has one of the largest generating capacity. In this town alone, we have in excess of 1,000 megawatts of power. So there is no excuse and reason why we should be in darkness. And from the gas resources available, not to talk about renewables, we can generate 10,000 megawatts of power in this state. And we will do so. This facility in this hall is being powered by an IPP from Musyomo. We've started lighting up Edo State, beginning from the Ring Road, and our goal is that within the shortest possible time, we would have built a network of over 200 kilometers of streetlights starting from Benin. It's all about the economy. We have to continue to grow the economy to sustain our future. And the future is about technology and innovation. So our emphasis as government is technology, education, technology, education. We have set up innovation hubs, and we did this as pilots. And the successes we've attained just confirm to us that it is possible. Now that we have piloted, the next phase is to just roll out and don't look back. We've trained over 32,000 beneficiaries in various ICT programs, and for us, it's now the norm. And we will continue to push. For those of you who were with us 2 nights ago with the World Bank Managing Director for Policy at the Okorami Takeoff Campus of the Edo Park, you see the potential that this state has, particularly in our young people. We have about 120 of them running the takeoff program. And when they shared their story, we left there that night, and our guests left knowing that Edo has promise, and Edo has a bright future. We've also looked at skills and entrepreneurships. We've set up 2 job centers. We've trained over 23,000 beneficiaries. We've certified most of them, and we're raising financing to support these entrepreneurs. We've started with the Bank of Industry Collaboration with 2 billion, and we hope that we'll grow that very rapidly in the next few months to about 10 billion. Working with Konga, we have set up an online marketplace, and we're trying to get our little entrepreneurs to now begin to use this platform to extend their markets. We continue to encourage job fairs and other activities that will promote the goods and services of our people outside the state. The Benin River Port project for us is going to be a game changer. We have completed 3 baseline feasibility studies, and each study just confirms to us that the opportunities which the Benin River, the Bight of Benin, gave to the Benin Empire, those opportunities still exist today. We have done the topographical surveys, the bathymetric surveys, so just all the surveys these technical people need to take to check the viability of a port have now been done. And we have come to the conclusion and realized that that river port could be the 2nd most viable port in Nigeria. And it's one infrastructure that we must build. And we've done a lot of work, including all the alignments to connect the port to the main city. All of that has now been completed. In terms of agriculture, we're still going to talk about it a bit, but that's what brought our keynote speaker here. We are leveraging on a key advantage of oil palm, not just because of the product itself of oil palm, but because strategically, you need to have size and scope. And size and scope comes with large-scale investments. And so we're seeing that palm oil is that crop that will bring large-scale investment in the way we think about agriculture. How you prepare land, how you get inputs, how you train extension workers, all the things that you need to do to make agriculture successful. Once you have, large players coming in, they help you set the standards. And then every other crop production now follows from there. So that's the emphasis, that's the strategy, and that's why we can't thank enough our partners who have come together under what we call the Edo State All Palm Program, where we have allocated 102,000 hectares of new land, mostly degraded forests, to now commence, the production of oil palm and reenacting what we used to be. We can't continue to lament that palm oil was taken from here and taken to Malaysia and Indonesia and see what it's doing for them. We can't continue that lamentation. The land is still here. The crop will still do well. So, strategically, let's just start and get it done. Our dream is that, in another 30 years' time or less, as you're flying into Edo State, all you'll be seeing are farms, just like you see everywhere else in the world. But all of these cannot happen if there is no law and order. Because in our oath of office, we always swear to protect and protect our people. So it's about law and order. Our democracy cannot thrive, will collapse without law and order. That's why we're emphasizing law and order. That's why we are emphasizing investments in the judiciary, in the process of making laws, in policing. Edo State, we know it's only a question of time. We will have our state police. It's just a question of time. Because you cannot run a federal system without it. But before that, we're collaborating, and we will continue to collaborate with the federal security structure. We built and designed our own security structure around the federal system today, and we will continue to invest even in that system that is controlled federally. We built and established the Marine Police with marine bases in Ologbo and Giligili. And the success of the Edo Community Policing and Vigilante structure has been amazing. Last night, about 1 a.m., we drove into town to I do randomly, to check and see what's going on, what they're doing. And I found them up front of Oba Market, where they had just arrested a young man who beat and hit somebody else at another checkpoint. And I left feeling very, very good that security is local. Only the people can secure themselves. So as a state, we'll continue to invest and work with the security agents to invest in our security. So over the past 5 years, like I said, we've done as much as we can. We've laid the foundation. We now know that it is possible, that our dreams can become reality, that we will dream and we will not have nightmares, because we have a strategy or strategies backing our dreams. So today we're going to be talking and launching Edo State's 30-year development plan. What we have tried to do is not to produce another document. What the plan is a new system. We have two sets of planners working with us. We have those who are doing our economic and social planning, and we have those who are doing our physical planning. So we have teams in Benin, in Lagos, in Abuja. We have teams in Benin, in Beirut, and in London, all working. But our insistence is that whatever we're doing must be domiciled in Benin, and we must have hundreds of young men and women who now must be involved with them in that process, because these youngsters are the ones that will implement the plan. Planning on a plan is not a document. It has to be a process. We have to live it. And that is what the Edo 30-year development plan is about. It's broken into periods of 5-year periods, and we'll have 6 of those periods, which we hope will span about 8 electoral cycles. I know that for me, one of the biggest or greatest concerns people have is that, Mr. Governor, yourself and your team are doing so much. What will happen when you leave in 2024? What's the assurance that all these things, all the innovations, all the reforms you're undertaking will continue? Who will be your successor? I've said to them, I can't guarantee that my successor will be able to do exactly better than I've done. It's not, because we are human. But what we can guarantee is that once we have a system that calls the leadership to account, when we have a system, when the people know and understand what to expect from government, then that will be a better guarantee to ensure that the system continues to work and run the way the people want it to. And so the strategy for a long-term plan is, like Mr. Sarumi said, it's broken up into periods. We're just not dreaming about 30 years from now. We're dreaming about 2023, we're dreaming about 2024, 5, 6, and we're dreaming about periods between 2021 and 2025, and then, in such blocks. But what are the key things we must do? And like I said, fortunately we have started doing that will take us to our dreamland by 2050. First, and we will continue to insist, because we see it every day, Nigeria is not working because the civil service and the public service are not working. Simple. So we politicians can say whatever we want, we can, make whatever pronouncements, but the structure and system to make things happen is very, very weak. And until we build this bureaucracy, the structures will just continue to lament and at best continue to hope. So rebuilding the public sector is key. And you cannot rebuild the public sector on its own anymore. Forget it. The public sector needs help. The public sector needs to now collaborate more with the private sector. As far as we are concerned in Edo State, you only have one sector, the Nigerian sector. We would not have been able to undertake the reform we undertook in education in Edo Best if we did not have private sector partners. And I see it the same way in terms of implementing technology. So we must understand that it has to happen. We have to have short-term initiatives. And today, we're working on an e-government platform, and the future of Edo and the bureaucracy of Edo is technology. Edo will run on an e-gov platform commencing this year. I have always said in different fora that I will be the last governor in Edo State to work with manual files. The next 30 years will mean us focusing more on our human capacity. It's education, education, education. We have to, like we've started, to deepen the reskilling of our workforce. I am going to be receiving a delegation next week, and we want to look at the possibility of reopening our primary schools, our basic schools, for adult education, to help those who missed out come back to school. With our experiences from the Edo Production Hub, the Edo Enterprise Park, we now know it is possible to build large large parks or areas where people can come and converge and undertake economic activities. So we're fortunate, like in Ologbo, for instance, with the Osioma Power Plant, we're setting up the industrial park. In towards the Hobo, with the Azura and the Hobo power plants, we're setting up a production park. So wherever we find infrastructure, we will just prepare for people to go there and then undertake their economic activities. We are going to continue to leverage on technology. I'm sorry if I keep emphasizing technology. It's a digital world. Everything today is about software. It's about artificial intelligence. It's about the Internet of Things. Everything is controlled by technology. So we, rather than what we did in the past, emphasizing the study of the social sciences, the arts, the humanities, yes, they're important. I won't be here today without such learnings. The emphasis will now move towards using technology and training a lot of people to use technology. That's the dream for our tech park, where we just, we're graduating the first set of 120 in the next 2 months. But we hope that over the next 5 years, we will produce a minimum of 10,000 software engineers in these states. And guess what? I'm signing this morning with a company called Obaseki, a program to start to give fast-track opportunities to our women in technology. So we have raised the funds, and the first 1,000 of them will be brought into cohorts in the next few weeks, and by January, we'll start training them. So we will emphasize women participation in technology, because we've seen how countries like Saudi Arabia, conservative as they are, have used it to begin to transform their countries. Our keynote speaker said it. We will now begin to understand, emphasize our extractive industries, the mining. We see, if you go through the exhibition stands, you see some production that has started to happen in Edo State, where people are now manufacturing using base materials from our mining assets. So we're seeing tiles, ceramic tiles are being made in Edo. We're seeing glass. We have one of the largest flat-sheet glass companies in West Africa in Edo. We have aluminum profiles, and the raw materials are being obtained locally. We need to continue to emphasize that. We will leverage on the national gas plan. There's a master plan for gas which NNPC has launched, because Edo is about gas. We're sitting on the largest gas reserves in the country. We need to use that gas to get energy power to power our state. I'm sure I could go on and on and on and on, but that's not the purpose today. The purpose this morning is to let you know that we can realize our dreams. Our keynote speaker told us that 30 years ago, when he started his business, the situation in Nigeria was not radically different from what it is today. Foreign exchange was scarce, inflation was very high, but they persisted. They broke their plans down into periods. They failed in some areas. They stood up, took on the challenges, but continued to persevere. Today, they're investing billions of naira back in Edo and in other parts of the country, because they had a strategy, they had a focus, they have a sense of a future, and they had a dream, and they worked and lived that dream. So today, this morning, we are here to assure ourselves that the future is bright despite the challenges, to assure ourselves that we know what to do. We know we know that at the end of the day is about economic growth. That if we do the things we have planned to do, we will make Edo a center for economic transformation. I am an investment banker, and I want to tell you that the money to do it is available. The money is not the challenge. The challenge is the thinking. The challenge is a discipline to follow through with a particular strategy and to stick to it no matter how difficult or daunting it will seem. And so, for me, the next 5 years should be one that ushers in a whole era of new opportunities, an era where we'll be able to raise substantial amounts of money from the international capital markets to build a river port, which will give us access to the rest of the world, direct access, to build an international airport that will be aligned to that, to bring in commerce, to support something unique that no one else has in Africa, which is a cultural district based on a history, a culture that the world cherishes. So for us, the return of the artifacts, it's not just about the display of the artifacts. No, it's about part of our plan to create and make Edo a culture hub. There is none in Africa today. And because there are very few societies that have what we have to show the rest of the world. The cultural district, the return of the artifacts, is to help us make that reconnection with our past. It's to help relate the creative geniuses we see in our young people to where it is coming from, to its source. That is the purpose. So that's why we don't want to get drawn and lost in the purpose, the arguments back and forth, but to focus on the purpose, why we need these works back, and we want to appreciate and thank all the governments and the various museums across the world who have made a commitment to return these pieces. We have over 4,000 of these pieces flung across the world. And we have commitments for substantial return of these works. Our goal as a government is to prepare a state, to prepare a city where these works can come in, where they can be displayed, and where the world can come and see them. And by the grace of God, we will succeed in doing so. As I said, we want to continue to invest in agriculture, particularly oil palm, to now help us create the framework for investing in agriculture. Victor Waifo Creative Hub is just a sample of what we intend to do in supporting entertainment and the creativity of our young people. That is just a sample. I just invite all of you to come in tomorrow to see the young creative artists who we have nurtured, performing with their peers nationally in that center, and it will tell you what is possible. And these are ideas that have been brought into reality by young men and women who are working with me. They're, and they make these difficult challenges look so simple. The Edo Technology Park. We just don't like to talk about ourselves. We don't like to be immodest. But we will be here next year, and we will take a tour of what's going on in that park. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to thank all of you and to say that today marks the beginning of the launch and implementation of the Edo State 30-year development plan. Thank you. Oh, arise,
sons and daughters of the land.